Miss Wyndham, what had you done earlier that day?
I got up, got a latte, got a perm, and came home.
Well, you got in the shower?
Having Gwen and Mykelti react to Sister Wives has been really eye-opening in a lot of ways in providing personal insight and more context to what we see on the show. However, we as viewers have questioned just how honest of a reaction we are getting because sometimes things just don't make sense. For example, while we know communication in this family is abysmal, how is it humanly possible, or logical for that matter, that Christine would know Gwen was not coming to her wedding, be cool with it, and not disseminate that information to anyone else, leaving Mykelti to be, quote, shocked, as she put it, that Gwen was not in attendance? Mykelti and Tony just reacted to episode 10 over on their Patreon, and as I've mentioned before, they answer a lot of questions from their live chat. Well, someone asked some more questions about Gwen's wedding, and Mykelti and Tony's answers just left me with more questions. We have a lot to talk about. Let's get into today's video. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be voiceover commentary, and just a heads up, this Thursday the 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern, we will be having our members live stream in which we will be discussing Welcome to Plathville Season 5 and Sister Wives Hot Topics. So if you are interested in becoming a channel member, a link for that will be in the description of this video. Alrighty, let's jump into today's topic. It seems like every time the adult children, and really that's Gwen and Mykelti because so far those are the two that are making reaction content, put out videos that are meant to shed light or provide context to situations, I am left with more questions. So let's chat about some of the confusion that I have been grappling with. One question that was asked in this most recent watch along was if any family members watched Tony and Mykelti's videos. They revealed that a couple of their family members were patrons, and they even mentioned that Christine was a member of their Patreon. So going back to what I said in my intro, if Christine is a member of their Patreon and she knows they react to the episodes and current events, and she has seen the types of questions they get asked, she would have known they would be highly likely to receive a question about Christine's wedding. So why would Christine not go out of her way to be like, hey, just a heads up, I knew Gwen wasn't coming, it's totally not a big deal, I'm A-okay with everything. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry for not telling you beforehand or on the day of, so it left you all confused and shocked that your full-blood sister wasn't in attendance. And this all comes down to Occam's razor for me. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines Occam's razor as a scientific and philosophical rule that entities should not be multiplied unnecessarily, which is interpreted as requiring that the simplest of competing theories be preferred to the more complex, or that explanations of unknown phenomena be sought first in terms of known quantities. Some of the explanations we are given require quite the feat of mental gymnastics, and we are asked quite often to set aside our own common sense. I guess sure, Christine could not have a problem whatsoever with Gwen not attending her wedding, and I suppose she could have not disseminated that information to her other children. But do we really think that that is likely? I am approaching my 5th wedding anniversary, and I remember the wedding planning process pretty vividly. I was in constant communication with family members about who was coming and who couldn't make it. Shoot, I've even gone to weddings where I'm not an immediate family member, and I've been privy to some of the planning drama. Wedding planning chaos gets around. It just does. Christine's wedding was filmed for the show, so we will see how Gwen's absence is portrayed. I'm sure the planning process is going to be Christine's entire storyline, so I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. Before they started reacting to the episode, Mykelti and Tony answered some questions, and one question they got was, last week you mentioned you had to encourage your dad to attend Gwen's wedding. Are you glad for Gwen's sake that you made the effort? That made my ears perk up. Mykelti says that she wouldn't necessarily use the word encourage. It's just that her dad wasn't sure he was invited anymore. And then Mykelti goes on to say that you don't contact the bride the day of the wedding. The day of the wedding, the bride should have no drama. I don't disagree with her there. Kody just wanted to make sure it was still okay for him to come. So, 2 questions I have. 1, if Mykelti and Kody spoke prior to Gwen's wedding about if his attendance was desired, would the start time of the event not have also come up? I am still salty about showing up 2 hours late to anything, let alone your own daughter's wedding. Also, if he did reach out prior and asked if it was okay that he came, why would Mykelti not tell him that she was bringing her kids? And if in fact she did tell him she was bringing her kids, which I suspect she did, and Kody obviously knew Truly and Isabel would be there, also under 21 years of age, he had to know children and adults under the age of 21 were allowed at the event, therefore nullifying Mykelti's previous assertion that the reason why Saul and Ari were not in attendance was because they didn't think minors could go and the older girls stayed behind to babysit.
And if in fact you weren't washing your hair, as I suspect you weren't because your curls are still intact, wouldn't you have heard the gunshot? Which would mean that you would have had to have found Mrs. Wyndham with a gun in her hand to make your story plausible. Isn't that right?
Whew, I'm sorry, you guys. I just needed to have a Legally Blonde moment there. That's about as close to law school as I will ever get. When Mykelti and Tony reacted to episode 9 and Mykelti saw Brianna and Aurora's couch interview, she said she would be really upset to find out it was Robyn that was telling Aurora and Brianna that they weren't wanted by the rest of the family. And again, we have to bring it back to Occam's razor, looking for the simplest solution. Who else would have told them? Who else do they socialize with in the family that would have told them that they were not wanted by the rest of the family? The simplest answer is Robyn. It all goes back to Robyn. And we have an example of this caught on camera.
Dad put together a list of all the things that each household has to do in order for the whole family to be able to get together. Basically, Janelle said that they're not able to follow those rules.
They're not able to, or they're choosing not to?
I don't know exactly.
I'm just worried about how it's going to make them feel. If it's going to start making them be better and stop, wanting to be around the family and stuff because they don't care to be around us.
They're the ones that are constantly, pushing for the family to get together. And when we finally have a common ground on, this is what we need to do, they kind of just went, screw it.
I don't want to go, no, that's not true, because there is truth to what Aurora is saying. I'm not going to lie to her.
We see Robyn completely manipulate what actually happened and twist the truth to fit a narrative of the other moms and their kids just not caring enough to be around the rest of the family. Robyn says her kids and her were voted off Brown Family Island, when in reality, we have kid after kid sit down and tell us on camera how much they miss their dad and their siblings and how much they just want the family to get back together. Garrison calls Robyn to see if they could get their dad back. Christine wants to know what the nanny does so they all can get together. How does it make sense on any level that it was Robyn and her kids that were kicked off Brown Family Island? Watching the show has to be really hard for the adult children. I can only imagine how difficult these moments have to be to watch. Tony and Mykelti also discussed in their episode 10 watch along that they try to stay super copyright compliant with TLC so that they keep getting asked back to film. So Tony and Mykelti are mindful about what they disclose that they think will appear on the show. With that being said, I would just way prefer them to say that they can't answer a question than for me to question the authenticity of their answers. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Be sure to check out my second channel, Sarah Spills. A link for that will be in the description of this video. Follow me on Instagram, Threads, and Twitter at Reality Squad, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Take care. Have a good one. Much love.